You know, choosing a partner in life is probably one of the most difficult things that we do because it's so hard to find someone who just fits you perfectly. Dating is so imperfect, and I feel like we look for all the wrong things. Quite often it's the package that we go after, you know, the good-looking woman, the good-looking guy, the, you know, the voluptuous blonde kind of thing, or the guy that's, you know, the perfect Prince Charming, tall, dark, and handsome. We look for that, we look for the package. And it really, nothing materializes, shall we say, until after we've been together for a while, after we've lived together, gotten married. And oh my God, what, you know, it dawns on us, you know, what have I done with my life? And you know, you've had a lot of experience in relationship. Well, not a
Yeah.
lot, but enough.
Enough, since you're my third wife.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been married for what, 12 years,
Yeah.
so it's been enough time to be able to validate that it was a good choice. Okay? 12 years ought to be enough time to evaluate that. But if the only thing you can do is validate whether the choice was good after 12 years, you could end up making an awful lot of mistakes, and I don't know how many 12-year periods you have in your life that you can just keep trying and keep trying until you finally get it right. Certainly, third time is the charm, I guess they say that, but the 3 times seems like an awful lot of years and an awful lot of time to try to figure something like that out.
Yeah. Well, it does take time, and you know, there's so many little idiosyncrasies we all have. You know, you can marry someone, you can date someone, and you know they arrive, they're perfectly, you know, groomed, everything is, you know, nice and clean and neat, and you can think, wow, you know, I love the way they look, and I love who they are. And then you marry this same person, or you live with them, and all of a sudden there's clothes strewn everywhere, drawers are left open, cereal bowls, dried cereal bowls on the kitchen counter, and it's like, oh my gosh, and you try to talk to the person and you try to change their habits, their ways, and then they get angry at you, and it seems like we do choose our opposites for some reason, and if you could clarify that one.
Well, I think the first thing is that you're never going to find anybody that meshes with you 100%, and part of the compatibility issue is your own level of emotional intelligence. That you become more qualified to have a relationship as your level of emotional intelligence goes up, and the emotional intelligence of the individual that you're picking. So getting those two things to match. But there is a skill set in relationship development that has to somehow come along if you want a relationship to be lasting. Regardless of whether you picked the right person or didn't pick the right person, you're going to have a problem if you don't know how to handle conflict and difficulties and the things that come your way, how to manage some of these sort of rights. You know, why do you leave this mess? And you know, does it turn into nagging? Does it turn into me constantly getting on your case about things, or can we somehow work together with a relationship of mutual respect in a way that we can sit down, have a discussion, resolve the issue, decide how it's going to be going forward, and then move on.
Right.
Rather than continually coming back to the same things over and over again because we don't know how to do that. And I think that some people are more willing than others to come to agreements and to be flexible and reasonable. And some people have better skill sets in terms of, instead of just saying, I wish you would stop doing that, to sit down and have a real discussion and to say, when you do this, it causes a problem for me, so I'm really looking for a solution.
Yes.
Can we talk about this? Can we agree on how it's going to be going forward? Some people have a skill set in which they know to do that. Mm-hmm. But even if they know to do that, if they're with somebody who won't respond and thinks this is really stupid and doesn't listen and so forth, there you have a problem. So it's a combination of a lot of factors. You look at your own emotional maturity, emotional intelligence, your own skill set, and then you start to, as you meet someone and after some period of time you think this may be the one, you find out very quickly by establishing ways of doing things, by taking some of these little issues, and instead of just saying, what a lot of people do in the dating phase is they say, oh, it's such a little thing, I'm not going to make a big deal about it. And then they've got a lot of things. The little things build up, and then if they end up actually getting married, then they no longer want to not make waves. They start making waves, and then they start nagging at each other and so
Right.
forth. And then you wonder, well, why during the initial dating stage was everything fine, and now we're just creating this irritation? So let's go ahead and formulate how we're going to work together. How do we operate when things become a disagreement? How do we operate when you're upset? You come to me. How do you do that? What kind of a discussion do? How do we? Because if we don't learn how to do that in the early stages of our relationship, we're going to set really bad habits that no matter whether you were the right person or the wrong person, based on whatever your criteria may be, we're still going to screw up the relationship because we don't know how to operate together.
It's true. And there has to be a lot of forgiveness too, I think. You know, if you admire a person, respect a person, deep down, there's a lot about this person that you really admire and that you feel good being with them. I mean, like, 85% of the time, things are good. And you feel that, and you continually see this person being the kind of person you just really like. They're fun. They have a great sense of humor. They're fun to be with. They are intelligent. Maybe they're messy. Maybe they don't manage their money exactly like you would like for them to. Maybe there's various things about them, little things that just don't nitpick all those things. Because but you have to have this reserve. You have to have this emotional reserve where there's a lot about them that you really do admire and like. I really think it's important to respect, admire, and like your mate. And if you do, that'll take care of a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff that's not so perfect.
Yeah.
And I honestly, but if you don't admire and respect them, if they're lazy, really lazy, not working all the time, for no reason, they're just lazy, or or they're unkempt and smell bad. If there's things about them you just can't tolerate, well then of course you have to make a decision. But I think that if you basically admire and respect someone, and you have humor is just so important. You have humor, you laugh together easily, and you love their humor. Gosh, is that important. So I just feel like these are some of the things you got to take a look at, and forgive those things that are not so perfect. You really have to do that.
Yeah.
And often. Your children, if you have children, they are always doing things that are imperfect. Yet you love them, and gosh, you don't throw them out in the street or divorce them because they are untidy. You try to work with them and teach them, and you work together with that. And I think in partnership we have to do the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.